Hello, welcome. Bits and Bobs on a Friday is coming at you. Joe here, to my left, in his seat. His seat.
Oh, God.
Conan Doherty, hello.
Hello.
You're in my seat, Will. I will. That's what he said. That's mine. Long weekend for lots of you out there, so sit back, enjoy. Although there is a weather warning. See this? I think it's more for Connacht Ulster, but there's a weather warning.
Good or bad weather warning?
Not that bad. I don't think they warn if it's good, do they?
They do.
Yeah, but see, I would like a warning when it's going to be too warm as well.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. No, bad. I think some kind of storm. It has a name, the storm. I think it lands on Monday, so maybe majority of people okay. In your feed from the week that was, we were just saying a moment ago before we started, it feels like a long time already since the All-Ireland final. Like, it doesn't feel of this week, but we had the All-Ireland final review on Monday. We talked about the Lions' second test. We had bits and bobs. We did football. Jonathan Wilson was on talking Premier League transfers. Jackie Oatley reflecting on the Euros yesterday. Very good piece, I think, if you're even just casually interested in the Tour de France. Good sense of where cycling is from Kieran Lennon and Barry Ryan. And then this morning, ladies football sort of championship review and All-Ireland final preview with Noelle Healy and Nadine Doherty. And they were really good on a whole host of things. There are now just over 40, minimum 40 Irish ladies Gaelic footballers playing in Australia. Do you imagine you took the best 40 men's players out of the championship? You know, it's a really significant number. And it was also interesting to get a sense of, you know, the new rules has been the big story in men's football, GAA at large, and the ladies are still playing the old rules, and quite a few teams have gone very defensive, and it feels very kind of stodgy all of a sudden by comparison. So that's all waiting for you. We have a fair bit to get through. I don't know we get through it all. Vicar Street, just to mention, last few tickets remaining for Wednesday. Tony Adams is our guest of honour with Damien Delaney and Gary Beane there as well. If you go onto Ticketmaster and search Indo Sport, you can get those tickets. Vicar Street, a great venue. Hopefully we'll see you on Wednesday. Some of you correctly answered that Gary Beane scored in the O2 World Cup against Saudi Arabia, so we have sent you tickets. Very final pair of tickets, the last pair of tickets up for grabs here. Centres on Damien Delaney, who did this once upon a time.
Delaney deflected and in. Oh, and that's hit the goal difference back for Liverpool. Mignolet, no chance. Oh, and Bolasie is the right man for Palace here. Yannick Bolasie. Here's Gale. They've got another one back. Palace 2, Liverpool 3. Dwight Gale. Palace have opened the gates really in their desire to pick up what will be a remarkable point. And here's Gale who can get it! 3-3 from 3-0 down, 2 of them to Dwight Gale. It's an amazing night at Selhurst Park. Liverpool have caved in.
Damien scored the first goal in Crystal Palace's famous Cristambull comeback. I didn't know it was called that. Did you?
No.
When Ronan said it to me earlier, it took me a good 10 seconds.
Yeah. It was the first time I heard Cristambull, though.
No, I had heard of it once, kind of piecing it together. It's a long time since that game.
It sure is. 2014. So that was their famous comeback, which was a major dent in Liverpool's title challenge in 14. Who was the Liverpool manager at the time? Email your answer to indosportcompetition@independent.ie. Who was the Liverpool manager in 2014 for that game? We won't get overly into news, given lots of you may listen to this across the weekend. A couple of things happening over the last day or so. Thurles Racecourse being closed, privately owned for a long time now. Challenging financial landscape was cited as one of the factors. First held race, Thurles, in the 18th century. So we'll see if somebody maybe buys the course or offers to buy it or tries to reopen it, or is it just done? I was reading always renowned for an ability to cope with heavy rain as well, Thurles Racecourse. So that's closing. Family owned, one of the very few, if only privately owned racecourses. There was UEFA Conference League action last night. Shamrock Rovers cruised through as expected against Joseph's. They go to Kosovo next. The drama was between St. Pat's and their opposition in Tallinn. They drew 2-2 after extra time, which was enough for Pats to go through. And it means Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's Besiktas taking on Stephen Kenny's St. Pat's in Dublin next week.
If it
a
still
glamour
is,
tie.
if it still is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's Besiktas by that stage.
Really?
Because I've seen a lot of rumblings online. Yeah, they're not
Oh.
happy, obviously, with that Shakhtar Donetsk
Okay.
loss. I think it's 25 games now he's been in charge. There's just some rumblings coming out of Turkey. I'm keeping an eye on it.
Right. Monitoring the situation. Troy Parrott was on scored twice for Alkmaar as well, just to mention that. And just this morning, Friday morning, Newcastle have rejected a first formal offer from Liverpool for Alexander Isak. So it begins. They want 150 million sterling. Liverpool had said they would pay 120 million sterling max, and they are believed to have offered even less than that. I guess Isak is sort of kicking off a little bit, so they figure we don't know.
150 is so much.
It's a lot. Sterling.
Is he worth that? No, obviously, as until he think he'd be the third most expensive player ever. I think that doesn't.
Well, hang on. Creevin Kelleher's 80, so we take that as the relative benchmark.
What did he end up going for?
I'd rather not say.
He was 18.
150 sterling. Strikers are thin on the ground, I suppose. He's the only available proven Premier League striker.
He's an unbelievable player, but I just don't know if is he by consensus like in a bracket with like with the greats.
No, not yet.
I don't think so.
Not yet.
But look, he's an unreal player. If they get him, they won't be complaining.
Well, they're not going to get 150 for him. You're right in that sense.
Yeah.
A couple of emails then, no particular order. Jeff wrote in to say, I'm writing after what was an unbelievable spectacle of sport in Melbourne. There you go, Will. It put rugby on the map in a big weekend of AFL. Much like the gang who wrote to you who went to the Masters, myself and a bunch of lads had this test penciled in the diary for a while. Won't bore you with the details, but just to say, we did run into your erudite colleague, Rory O'Connor, in one of Melbourne's finest pubs enjoying some downtime with his journalistic colleagues. You'd catch him there all day, I'd say. One of the lads caught their eye as we were leaving and said, "Copy will be good on Monday, lads." To which Rudd replied, "Copy's always good."
Rudd, shooting off the hip.
Some weekend. Regards, Jeff. Don't know if any of that's true, but we'll plough on.
That sounds true.
Whalon in Sydney. Getting your email read out on Indosport is the Gen Z millennial equivalent of older generations getting published in the letters to the editor section of the newspaper. Yes, it is. Whalon.
Sorry, can we get some of these Gen Z audience over to the YouTube channel, which seems to be skewing a little older, and we're very thankful for all that audience. But
Skewing older, is it?
let's get
Does
some of the Gen Z
YouTube?
over.
I know YouTube skews male. Does it skew older generally? YouTube
Well, that's definitely the narrative I'm going to be painting now in my next presentation.
when you're before the board.
As we all know, YouTube skews older.
Is it a real thrill to get your email read out? I haven't really considered because we're just using them as content. But so for the individual listening to the show, hearing their email.
Put it this way: do you think in their WhatsApp group with their mates they put the link to the podcast through?
I don't know, maybe.
Depends how we receive the email.
Yeah, because to be fair, some of the emails you read out, the reception they get isn't like they're not uniformly positively received.
No, I like to think we're fair, but it's not
Fair,
a uniformal
stern
guarantee.
but fair.
But I like to think the emailers are sort of up for that too. It's almost
Yeah.
just throwing out an opinion. Let's see what the boys think of it.
Coming into the den.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mick and Cork. Lads, just wondering where Joe got his weather forecast from for the All-Ireland. He kept saying Croke Park was going to be wet on Sunday, and it was a lovely day. Yeah, I know. I did.
You took a strong line on that in the preview. You're like, this won't suit Kerry. The kicking team won't. You for some reason, not only did you get a spurious weather forecast, but you really wanted to. You're like, I'm working this in.
Yeah. I think it was just like the 5-day weather in Dublin Google thing. That's all I ever
What
did.
kind of phone do you have?
An iPhone, but I would have done it on my desktop. 5-day weather Dublin. Sometimes when you see the rain coming down, it's like showers in the morning for an hour.
And when on the app it says like rain forecast Saturday, and it says like 10% rain.
Yeah.
Does that mean it'll rain for 10% of the day? A 10% chance of rain?
It's not the 10% chance thing that everyone thinks it is.
Yeah.
It's 10% of the area, I think.
Yeah.
It's certainly not there's a 10% chance of rain. It's not that.
Yeah.
That'd be the obvious.
What is it? Yeah, because say my wife has an iPhone, I have a Samsung, and oftentimes it's completely at odds.
Oh.
Like, you go into your weather app on the phone and it'll be telling us different things.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, like, Carlo Weather, as that person said, he's the only man that you can trust, I think.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't realise.
But I certainly wouldn't on a Tuesday be going to bat for the weather on a Saturday as a key question in my preview.
I think it was Wednesday. It was, but point taken. Yeah, sorry, I worked it too much into the preview.
But the rain is such a funny thing anyway in GA, because I've been in teams where you're favourite and teams where you're an underdog, and you use it both ways. It's like, if it's raining and you're an underdog, that suits us. We're going to drag them down. We're going to make this a battle. And when you're favourite, it's like, well, this is going to suit us because we've got better skills. And the better skills are going to cope better with these.
But it's generally seen as a leveler.
I think so,
Yeah, I think. Lewis Rees Zammit is leaving the NFL, returning to Wales. 18 months he gave at 24 years of age. So he was going along the NFL International Player Pathway, which has been going now since 2017. Only 5 have ever made it and played like minutes in the NFL. 40 plus have been signed since 2017, this pathway. Jordan Mailata. Excuse me. Philadelphia Eagles. He's the great success story, but nobody else really has managed to do it. So Rees Zammit, I think, has just looked at the form Wales are in and said, I can't pass up on this this era.
Yeah, well, he ended up giving it
18 months.
Yeah, but in terms of seasons, the 2024 season and maybe a bit of prep for the 25 season, I suppose ultimately he decided, look, I can get back in for a rugby season now. He missed kind of 1.5 rugby seasons.
Did you think he had a chance to do
No.
it? No.
No, I thought, like I said it on the left wing at the time, I just thought it was a complete pipe dream. I just think it's so different. Jordan Mailata, rugby league, yes, but he's 6'8" and weighs like 20 odd stone. Like, so he was plugged in as an offensive tackle or someone with the raw tools, the arm length that they look for, and various things like that. Like Rees Zammit would be going up against like the top tier athletes in the US, kind of wide receivers, running backs. Like, say, even Christian Wade went over and gave it a go. Remember, there was a clip of him. He returned a punt for a touchdown in a preseason game, and it was unbelievable. Like, it looked great, but he never even got a look in. He'd actually delivered something in a game, whereas Rees Zammit never really made any traction. And look, he gave it a go. He's only, I think, 23, so it's not as if he's like eaten into, or 24 maybe. He hasn't eaten in massively into his rugby career. So,
and would you suspect the biggest barrier for him? So the speed was obviously the selling point. Was it an understanding of the rules, tactics, like in-game moments, or was it the skill set? Just
route running for a wide receiver. Now, he wasn't really. He was also playing running back, but like why? Like it's very different to like rugby. Is kind of more straight line, back and forth. Right? It's like stop, start, zigzag, side to side. Like the routes are quite intricate for a wide receiver, so it will be a very different skill set. I think there was a thought that he could be a punt returner, which they've kind of tweaked punt and kickoff rules in the last couple of years to incentivize more returns. So if you were really good at doing that, like say the Christian Wade touchdown he got, that could be something valuable, but never really seemed to click. Obviously, not knowing how he was training, it's hard to answer the question.
Sure.
But just from what I would think, like and running back, you have to be a kind of a more squat, stocky kind of guy. Like, you don't get tall, languid runners playing running back. So I don't know if that was ever going to be feasible. You have to be like powerful and can, run between tackles and stuff like that. So I just don't know if there was a place for him. I'd struggle to see any Southern Hemisphere, Northern Hemisphere rugby player transitioning to play in like wide receiver, running back. I just don't see that happening. But
yeah,
the money on offer, if you can even make a small breakthrough, is astronomical.
Sure, you can see why he tried it. Are the Gallads getting any joy? The kickers?
Charlie Smith is still with the New Orleans Saints. He's like the backup kicker.
Okay.
So, like, he's in frame. He's making some money, yeah.
Okay.
It was always interesting to me that Rory Began went for trials.
Yeah.
And he nailed it 100%, success rate.
Yeah.
Doesn't get a contract offer out of that, doesn't get any further out of that. It's like, what were you trialing? But there's obviously so much more that comes into it, as Will says, it's so competitive. And I also just wondered, is there like a superstar element to it as well, or a marketability that they're looking for when they're looking at these people? Maybe. I don't know.
Well, that's why the international pathway system came in, is to open it up. Everyone can they have one extra spot available for an international player if they want. It's to incentivize getting a breakthrough. So I'm sure Australians are more interested in the Eagles now, and that's a very big market with 25 million people. So
yeah, maybe your nationality comes into it. Malata's wingspan. I've terrible wingspan. Every time I put on a piece of clothing, my arms are too short for the bloody thing.
Well, your arms look
regular size. No, but they're not.
What height do you?
I think 5'11". And a bit.
I think you're taller than that. Are you not taller than me?
5'11" and a bit. Yeah.
So your hair adds a little bit of extra.
Yeah, I could probably reach 6 foot if I buff onto it.
Yeah.
Get the hairdryer out. I think 5'11", 3/4. Then with shoes, probably 6 foot.
But your arms.
I'm telling you, there's not a single item of clothing I put on and the sleeves are too long.
So they're not in proportion.
Long sleeved.
Yeah. 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 No, I think I've poor wingspan in relation.
And what's his? Are you looking at it?
No.
Oh, I
But
thought
you mentioned his wingspan was
You
good.
have so many sheets there. I just thought one of them had to say
There's
that.
no stat I don't have.
Is there a sport that's better suited to? Like, we need somebody with smaller wingspan.
Would you believe I googled that once? I think in wrestling, it's not a bad thing.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
You.
It's arm wrestling.
Oh yeah, you're one of those boys that's the press ups then, but it's like, well, of course he could do them faster and more often. He's got way less.
Little T-Rex arms over there. Everyone though has a little hang up about themselves like that no one else would notice. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's your man. I think he's got small arms. Like no one's.
But I'm looking at your arms now.
Well, don't look at them.
But they don't look.
No,
They don't look appreciably like short.
Well, listen, we'll move on. And everybody just stop looking at them.
Right, all the YouTube viewers now are just like looking at your arms.
Tell you, man, stop. You're literally staring at me.
I can't. Well, I have to look at you to talk.
No, you're looking down. Eyes.
Turn around there a second.
I tell you, man, who's got good wingspan, Tom Brady.
Oh yeah.
Okay, segue. You're welcome. So the Birmingham City documentary has dropped on Amazon today. And this was sort of teased in the media because of what Tom Brady had to say about Wayne Rooney. So everybody was kind of curious about this interaction that they were going to have. Basically, if you hadn't seen it, Brady kind of said that he didn't like the general vibe, work ethic, interestingly, of his manager. Birmingham City's strange kind of mess in some respects. Like, the club were relegated to League One in their first year when Brady came in as part of this new ownership. They went through 7 managers in 10 months. 7 managers, 10 months. Rooney got 83 days. But it's interesting that one of the main scenes between the two of them is, this doesn't sound as awkward as it actually is, interestingly, because I watched it first and then listened to the audio. But Rooney's kind of sitting down. He's very, nervous, a bit fidgety. He's messing with his hat a bit. He's looking up, and suddenly it's 6'4" Brady, tanned, a coat on that's probably worth $20,000, and very assured.
Long arms.
Great wingspan. I can't overstate that enough. The teeth, and you could just tell it's not a natural meeting of minds. So here's Wayne Rooney, Tom Brady.
So you coming into the meeting?
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, I don't want to be a distract. Like I say, I just love being here and seeing you guys, and obviously appreciate all the hard work you guys are putting. I know it's been a lot of change, but just trying to do the best we can do.
Yeah, no, I'll sit down with you as well before the meeting and show you some of the stuff we're doing.
Awesome.
Awesome.
And then it cuts to the meeting where Rooney's kind of going through things in dark room, big screen, and there's a moment where Brady walks in, you presume, and Rooney sort of kind of tries to crack a gag and goes, "Do you want to?" No one laughs. There's nothing back from Brady. And anyway, with cameras on him, Brady in the car afterwards is talking about his visit to the training ground.
I'm a little worried about our head coach's work ethic.
A little too lackadaisical.
I mean, I don't know. They don't have great instincts on that.
So it's kind of the writing on the wall there. Tom did not like the cut of his jib. Gone. I don't think they were ever going to be natural.
That interaction does sound really awkward.
But it's funny because I read it initially about this awkward interaction, and I thought, well, Rooney's a lot of awkward interactions.
It's very shy.
Yeah. So I don't think it's exclusive to Tom Brady, but it was interesting that, it was almost like, your boss is coming in on a meeting that you normally take, and it's like, oh God, I'm not actually prepared for this.
And there's a camera crew
That
you have to pretend isn't right there.
Yeah.
And he isn't intimidating. Like, he's 6'4", like he's a big guy.
Yeah,
like,
he's a famous dude.
Very famous, and like ultimately, as it kind of turned out, he can judge you and you can get sacked. And he said about, shortly afterwards, I don't like his work ethic, and he was gone. Like,
Yeah,
so,
it's
you're
true.
kind of like, oh.
Yeah.
It's like a culture clash as well, though, isn't it? Where, Rooney's coming from the English football era where the manager, like Tom Brady's coming from a head coach era where he's probably doing all this work, all these detailed presentations, where that's probably not Rooney's bag.
Yeah. To be fair, like in the presentation, he did seem to be going into detail on matches and tactics. It just, I think it was like his delivery almost. Brady was just thinking, no. Brady would have no appreciation for Rooney the player. He wasn't reading his Sunday Times columns going, geez, this guy seems to have a great mind for football. It was a snap decision. No.
And Brady's experience, he had Bill Belichick for 25 years, who was like, famously coming in at 5 and leaving at midnight and was the most detail-oriented coach of all time. Like, so if that's the bar he is kind of coming to the table and judging people on, I suppose, no one in comparison is going to look quite as kind of prepared and clued in as him.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know if the documentary is good generally. Might have a look at some stage.
Also, the clip of him talking about poor Peterborough.
Oh yeah, he's pretty loose in that clip, Brady. He's kind of like
He's like, enjoy effing life in League One.
you blanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, just in a car journey.
But he says it in a kind of a joking way. But
Yeah.
Would you not just watch all these documentaries anyway? Like it's even a bad one of those, it's still inside a football club. Like I think
Have a look. It's just so much on.
there's so many episodes. There's,
Happy Gilmore
Are
and
there?
everything.
well, no, I just mean generally in the documentaries. I don't know specifically for this
Okay.
one.
Yeah, I don't know. Will you have a look?
Yeah, like I would just eat those up normally. Like a lot of the time, I'm like, ugh, there's not much in this, but it's still a nice world to be living in for the duration of.
I'm not actually that fascinated by Brady, who's kind of exposed anyway. But it would genuinely be interested to see how Rooney comes across. Admittedly, in 83 days and under pressure, but because there does seem to be something there when you get his thoughts on the game. But as an actual manager and how authoritative he can be and how he can run the place, I think the jury's out. So I might have a look for that reason.
Yeah, because even like the Arsenal one, like obviously Arteta got sort of a bit of stick over it and some of the gags and gimmicks. But I thought they actually delivered him quite well, and I thought the group were buying it more importantly.
Group by it, yeah.
Yeah. So like, there was a part of that where I was coming to it cynically, but then looking at it and like, hey, I can see the point he's making, and it's something different. He's not just saying it; he's giving them something visual, and everybody's sort of hanging off his every word because of the team that he's created. Then he sort of weeded out anybody else that wouldn't be listening to it, which is important. But I don't know why I'm here suddenly batting for Arteta as much as you bat for the weather. And
Every single team has a documentary now. It's hard to sift through which one's worth watching. Like they've kind of lost all meaning in some ways because they're so omnipresent.
Yeah, the novelty value's gone straight away. Yeah. Very quickly, just somebody picking us up. Ronan seemed to think incorrectly that Jadon Sancho was the worst signing in Manchester United history. Michael Bradley just wanted to fire through a quick offering. Sancho being a poor signing, or the worst signing rather. He was a poor signing, no doubt, but he and everyone else are not in the league of the once great, in brackets for Arsenal, Alexis Sanchez. I'm not researching exact numbers, but he cost 30 million sterling, even though he'd been poor for Arsenal for 18 months. The real kicker, though, was his salary between 400,000 and 500,000 per week. The knock-on effect of this shocking contract put Rashford and Martial on 200 to 250 per week, and their contracts gave rise to the other mad contracts also. And back to Sanchez, he was complete muck. He is numero uno for me. Love the pod. Keep up the good work. Regards, Michael. It's a fair contender.
That was I saw that email. That was the one signing United made when I was like, there's some like hex on this club. Because contrary to what Michael says there, he hadn't been poor for 18 months. He'd been playing.
Had he not?
No, he scored 20 league goals for Arsenal the previous season, and he'd actually had a pretty good first half of the season. So Man City tried to get him as well, and he picked United. So on paper, there was no reason why he should have been so bad. And I was like, oh, there's something like, it needs an exorcism here.
So the United had to pay the big wages to get him to pick them over.
That was it.
And then it screwed their
wage
structure is
to
gone.
get him to come, they had to give him a huge offer, and then he just immediately became absolutely dreadful.
Can you give a quick defense of Ronan?
Can I?
Can I?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you can.
Ronan
I have
Arteta,
no intention.
Sancho, they had been talking about him for a while. They'd missed out on him in a few windows.
Yeah.
The right side of midfield was the thing that United thought that's all they were missing now. We just need to get the right side of midfielder. He became the guy. And because they missed out on him a few times, it was like he really started going up in everyone's imagination, and then they finally got him, and it just didn't live up to what everybody thought.
There was something with Sancho whereby he expressly stated, like even behind the scenes, I want to play on the other wing,
which was the mad thing. Yeah.
And they were like, well, we'll just buy you anyway and try and put you on the wing you don't want to play on.
Yeah.
So I think he got a bit screwed over by a dysfunctional place. I really do. Like, so you've signed him, you put him on his least favourite wing, which is a really big thing. Like, to be on the opposite wing is a big deal.
His least favourite.
Yeah,
two.
of the two, yeah. And, I mentioned it the last day, so I won't labour the point, but like it was sort of said he thrived in a functioning kind of team where there were synchronised movements and things were drilled quite well, and he was good at all that. Whereas United was a bit like, just go out and do what you all do.
Yeah, but I do think the thing as well, like, because you're talking to Jonathan Wilson about this, I think his pace just suddenly was apparent.
Like he could beat a man.
Yeah.
Him and Anthony, no pace.
Because he went back to Dortmund, did quite well, and came back, went to Chelsea, and
didn't do that well.
Yeah,
but like Chelsea's, there's no more club that's a scrap heap for wingers than Chelsea. No one, the amount of wingers they sign, and none of them, or very few of them, seem to have a prolonged 5-6 years of doing well. They just interchange them all the time. So I think he's just one of these guys that's been a bit lost in the system, bad moves,
Yeah.
He's not the worst signing in Manchester United history. I think that's unfair.
Why was Sanchez so bad? I just don't know.
Right, let's just get this part over with. So on Tuesday, we were talking about Happy Gilmore 2, which Will insisted on calling HG2, HG, calling Shooter McGavin SMG, etc. And so this little moment came up. I think that the crucial thing here is listen to the certainty with which I was met with when I asked a well-intentioned question.
SMG holds up particularly well as a character. He's quite funny.
Who?
Shooter McGavin.
Oh, yes. Jesus. I didn't know it was a film that had borne so many acronyms. Or is acronym the right word?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're on safe ground
Someone
today.
would email if it wasn't. Will Slattery, I quote, said, "You're on safe ground today."
Is that me who says that?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
okay,
That's
you're on
safe
safe Go.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're on safe ground.
That's you.
Me?
Yeah. Okay.
You're on safe ground. No, I think that's Connor.
We had to take out the ISO files to
Sorry,
just confirm that it was Will.
Are you hearing this? It's completely you.
I don't know. It's hard to. You can't. There's no video evidence of me.
Sorry,
saying
Will.
it.
I'm just telling you there is video evidence if you sent it.
Just say now you're on safe ground.
You're on safe ground there.
No,
You're
Oh,
on
I
safe
knew it was me
ground.
the whole time. I tried to gaslight Ronan earlier.
it's completely
I
you.
forgot that there would be an isolated video file from that camera there of me saying it.
Completely you. Okay.
And you were just asking a question.
I think
had
you got to be
no-
honest about these things. I didn't know, we all have gaps. Well, it turns out a lot of people knew. Oh my God, the most emailed topic of the week. I'm not going to read out all these. Colum, who's listening over in Massachusetts. Hi, Joe. You were absolutely right to question your assertion that HG2 is an acronym.
Fair play, Joe.
In fact, it's an initialism. Yes, it's a bit of a niche area, but technically, if you don't pronounce it like a word and just call out the individual letters, it's an initialism. An acronym, on the other hand, is where you pronounce it like a word. Classic example, NASA is an acronym. FBI, initialism.
Yeah.
Good to learn.
TAC in Fort Minor.
He says the GAA classic usage is as an initialism, GAA, but of course, as we know, some people like to call it the GA, which would be an acronym. Thanks for your time. The GA one is a great example. Tom O'Neill, an acronym is pronounced as a word like NASA, something like HG or SMG initialisms. You can Google if you want, but trust me, I'm a primary school teacher. And an overly smart 12-year-old once pointed out my mistake on this to the whole class.
Oh.
Completely ruined my lesson. Teachers must get that a lot with some smart kids. It just goes on in this vein. A lot of people are very exercised by this. Dear Joe and Co, I can't believe I'm doing this, but this is the one grammatical error that I'm pedantic about.
What?
Everyone has something. SMG, not an acronym. You made up SMG. Yeah.
I never said it was an acronym. You did.
No. But you said I was in safe ground. But SMG, no, that's not how Shooter McGavin's talked about generally. That's just you. No, that's fine. But I want to make sure, there's not people talking about this movie saying SMG. You just did it.
But no, yeah, it's right.
Yes,
As far as I know.
that's what I'm checking. Acronyms are when letters are used to make a word, like FOMO or NASA.
NASA everywhere.
I promise I'm embarrassed at myself because I'm emailing you at 11:10 at night about this. Keep up the good work, Keane.
And that was the first one.
Oh, was it? Okay.
He got in first.
Okay. Alan, I hate to be the pedant guy. Do I though? He says in brackets. But I had to provide, etc., etc. And he mentions NASA, FIFA, UEFA, or GAA, GPA. Or as used in Tuesday's show, SMG. Yours in pedantry, Alan. And then last one. Sorry, there's a load.
Last one that you've picked out.
Correct. Donal. Donal started a chain because a long time ago he corrected us that John Paris, not John Parrott, makes the cues. So he's had a long line of corrections. Full-time listener, occasional correspondent. Regrettably, I'm forced to issue a third notice of correction. See our previous correspondence below. Today's bits and bobs. You referred to the SMG abbreviation for Shooter McGavin as an acronym. The correct term for this is initialism.
Yeah,
There you
of
go.
course, yeah.
It's a learning day. Examples of acronyms: NATO, UNICEF, etc. USA, EU are examples of initialisms. I hope you'll take this correction in the intended spirit. I don't do this to make you look small. I do it because I love you. And I want to see you grow as a broadcaster, a father, and a man.
It's a coach.
It's Michel Lemass Donal.
Into my like.
Well,
There you go, done.
I couldn't get over how many, purely because I feel like there's been much more egregious mistakes made that got one response. And for some reason, everyone knows of initialism.
This was the worst one, definitely.
I had never heard of initialism.
I hadn't even heard that. Yeah, it's not
never
as if
heard,
I was like,
yeah.
oh, yeah.
We'll push on for everyone's betterment.
Should we do a league table of
Directions.
who's doing these?
That's a whole host of things we can do for Christmas specials.
Yeah.
I could maybe, pedantic corner.
We should do a pedantic show.
Think of a name. Somebody emailed in just to say on HG or HG1.
Or HIG if it was an acronym.
Just indeed. Just heard your HG2 discussion. Everybody really went with it. And having watched the original HG for the first time last night, I can only fear for the quality of that sequel. It was just about watchable, mainly thanks to being pretty short, and it had some funny moments, primarily in the first half. HG's the original.
Wow.
He just watched it for the first time. But if this is being held up as some kind of classic of the sports comedy genre, or something that was crying out for a sequel, then we are all in trouble. To be fair, I agree with that. It was not crying out for a sequel. Storyline that was perfunctory at best, cheap as chips approach to the PGA Tour, love plot which came from nowhere, string of cringe-inducing and frankly sickening scenes involving the grandmother.
Sickening. He is like subjected to elder abuse.
And an ending that I haven't seen it in a long time. And an ending that could have been written by any 4-year-old. Yet another Adam Sandler assault on cinema. If the sequel is worse than this, ... Keep up the great work, Connor. You're not wrong.
I forgot about
it's a
the
fairly
whole-
crap first effort as well. It's not.
Yeah.
It's a classic because it was a bit
but
new and of
watched
its
it,
era.
I watched it for not the first time, but the first time in probably 15 years.
Yeah.
I said HG1, of course.
Yeah.
I thought it was decent. Not a classic, but I thought it was
It
decent.
wasn't made in 2025.
It's true.
It's obviously, like if Wizard of Oz came out now, we'd be like, "What is this? This is
Wizard
tacky."
of Oz.
Yeah,
That's
but
where you went.
it stands up. It stands the test of time.
Wizard of Oz is timeless. No,
Well, maybe it's a bad example.
I feel that way. Like Gilmore was of that era. Of,
Yeah. And
Comedies.
like the naughties were mad, but a lot of great comedies came through the naughties as well. But stuff that you would never make today.
Well, it's incredible how it's changed.
Yeah,
isn't it?
and so it's such a short space of time.
Yeah. 95. I think it's 30 years.
96.
96. So yeah, it's a different world. But I would suspect it hasn't stood up amazingly. Definitely wasn't crying out for a sequel.
I did forget about the Ben Stiller stuff though, and the grandmother. And
Yeah. Yeah. We had an email in defence of Jim McGuinness because a listener wrote in about him. You were saying we sort of shut down that listener a touch, but
Well, what's the email?
I want to write to you in response to the email you shared on Tuesday's show from a listener who put Jim McGuinness and James Horan in the same bracket as managers. See, this is cruelly a drive-by on James Horan, this email, subtly as well, which I disagree with. James Horan did an amazing job. I found myself opening my laptop and typing within seconds when I listened. This is my call live line moment. Firstly, a look at the very basic stats. Horan managed Mayo for 9 seasons across 2 spells. He won 4 Connacht titles, 3 All-Ireland finals. He lost all 3. McGuinness managed Donegal for 6 seasons across 2 spells. He won 5 Ulster titles, 3 All-Irelands, and he won 1. And it should go without saying that it's much more difficult to win an Ulster title than a Connacht title. But note that I am saying it. Your listener also said, and I quote, "In truth, he never got that close to another All-Ireland." And this guy says, "Okay, cool. In 6 seasons, he got to 3 finals, 2 semis, 1 quarter." When assessing Jim's achievements, let's also look at the history of Donegal GAA. When he took over, they'd won 1 All-Ireland, 5 Ulster titles ever. McGuinness has doubled that tally in 6 seasons. And arguably the success in Ulster in 1819 under Declan Bonner wouldn't have happened without his foundations. Yes, Michael Murphy, amazing, but it's wrong to say Jim inherited a once-in-a-generation group of players. Donegal's always produced brilliant footballers. For much of my life, though, mentioned Donegal, what you would hear was nice footballers, ill-disciplined, soft touch, ultimately a laughingstock. Jim changed all that. He was a revolutionary in terms of tactics. He did stuff nobody else did. 1 blot on his copybook, Donegal's performance in All-Ireland finals. It's a big enough blot, though. But All-Ireland finals, plurally says. As already mentioned, they left 2014 behind them. Last weekend was not a good performance. Donegal also kept their poorest championship performance in 2012 for the All-Ireland final. I don't like this next line. Thankfully, though, they came up against a James Horan-managed Mayo side, so it didn't matter on the day. Okay, It's very harsh on Mayo. If you decide to read out my lengthy rambles, I'd like to remain anonymous. I enjoy the show. Like many others, I have found the GA Championship palatable for the first time in many a season. Looking forward to next year already.
Should you be allowed to write an email like that and say, "But I want to remain anonymous"? I would argue no.
His name's Sean.
like, I agree with a lot of the points. I don't think we need to run down James Horn to make the point.
I agree. There was a nihilist running down.
He's reacting to an email.
Yeah.
Now we'll get an email about James Horn's record now next week. And
Yeah.
it'll keep going.
James Horn did a fine job.
He did.
Amazing job.
Yeah, but McGuinness did an unbelievable job. And
I agree totally, yeah.
This is the thing that sort of annoyed me since the final on Sunday, is that just how quickly we're sort of rewriting his record at Donegal. He's only been there 6 years, like it said. He doubled the county's tally, from what it was when he took over. Like, this relative success is off the scales. I mean, we're talking over 100-year period here, and he doubled the whole county's tally himself with his record. The big game stuff is overblown as well, I think. I mean, the big game was 2012, like mentioned. It was 2014 to beat Dublin, the team that couldn't be beaten, like the game we still remember. Lost the final, but like I don't even think that final. Yeah, on Sunday I think a lot of mistakes were made, and they would probably do things differently. I don't think 2014 is the same as 2025. Like they lost by 3 points. They conceded a goal from a short kick out to Kieran Donaghy, intercepted. They weren't great in that final, but Kerry played a certain way as well. It wasn't a blockbuster final.
No,
Donegal lost by 3, and you put it down to a bad goal that they wouldn't give away otherwise. And they've won Ulster finals 5 times, which are big games too.
Yeah, I don't think 14's a stick to beat him with.
No, I don't think Donegal getting to an All-Ireland final ever and losing is a stick to beat any Donegal manager with, because it doesn't happen.
I think in part what's happening is a slight reaction to the extent to which McGuinness is held up as a kind of a genius messiah figure, and so that he gets, anytime he fails, there's an extra bit of this lad's completely inflated.
There are people waiting in the wings for that to happen, and then they're gallery. And I think David Clifford made the point to BBC afterwards where he said he didn't even mention McGuinness. He said a lot of stuff was said about the Donegal manager, which we sort of took as disrespectful to Jack O'Connor.
Okay.
And this one was sort of for him. And I do get that element of it, and it probably was the way we were talking about Jim McGuinness. Maybe it was a little disrespectful to Jack O'Connor.
Well, I'd back Jim McGuinness to win the All-Ireland with that Kerry group.
Definitely.
Wouldn't you?
And like, this is the thing, we can't come out now and say, oh look, he didn't win. He didn't beat the most successful county ever with Donegal. Like, he's in charge of Donegal. Again,
I'm not saying they're hopeless, Donegal, obviously, but look at how they fell very quickly in his absence.
I feel like he's gotten a bit of criticism off the back of what was a very poor Donegal performance, and it's somewhat justified. I don't think there's been a more praised manager in the history of Gaelic football than Jim McGuinness.
Correct, yeah.
So I feel like
he's allowed to get criticism for one
exactly
very bad game.
No, but like I'm saying like if one or two with people now rewriting his history.
No, that's I don't.
He's a fraud almost. No. Is what people would tell you now.
Well, is that what people? I feel like we've gotten a couple of emails, but are people saying?
We had Pat Spillane on the show on Tuesday, going through his whole record.
Yeah, there's big games can't do it thing.
Okay, yeah, well I don't agree with that.
No, I don't either. Like an Ulster final's a big game. Great record in Ulster.
Biggest game, they would say, Joe.
Yeah, like last Sunday was the first time they probably kind of didn't perform and didn't turn up in a big game.
Kerry were amazing. They were very, very good. Like they had almost a sense that the whole team was in good form. Kerry,
yeah. And look, I
don't
want
to stop.
Don't get me wrong. I look at some of the stuff on Sunday and think, there's 3 stuff I wouldn't have done, and maybe he wouldn't do now in hindsight. Like, there were definitely mistakes that were made going into Sunday, but again, I don't think it's time to revise his entire.
Blame the players afterwards a little bit as well. He wouldn't like one thing I didn't like.
Did he?
Well, he said we made mistakes we usually don't make. We did things we don't do. I'm like,
the ball away.
I'm like, Jim, like, what about your plan? Like, ask Jim, how did you play today, Jim? How did you perform today?
This is your new. This is his thing.
Yeah.
This is his thing.
But like, I would have loved to ask Jim McGuinness that, because he, like, the way he answered that question, like, in Dermot Crow's quotes, I was like, Jesus, Jim, like, you're the like. How can you not be like, well, maybe I made some mistakes and should have done something differently? It was kind of like, the players made mistakes they don't normally make, kind of thing. I'm like, God.
Yeah.
I didn't like that.
What we're referring there to is Will when the Lions beat Argentina. As
I remember.
Just
lost Argentina.
For the listeners. Did I say win? Beat them? And Andy Farrell's trying to say it's an unbeaten series.
A lot of people are.
In my book, it is not.
Well, like, the Argentina game counts. Like, that, like they can't just say, it was in Dublin. Like,
we didn't try.
They met up before that match for a week.
I don't like unbeaten being thrown around with that Argentina. It's disrespectful to Argentina.
Well, it shouldn't be thrown around. They lost.
Yeah.
Like, I like this kind of bullshit about, but they're unbeaten in Australia, and that now they're like kind of on par with 1974, the last time a Lions team did an unbeaten stint in a country. I'm like, they lost to Argentina.
Yeah, I completely agree. Couldn't agree more.
like,
I did not I like the way that was kind of whitewashed out by.
Yeah, they're being airbrushed out of history. Like, it's ridiculous. Like,
But when they lost to Argentina, Will, in the press conference, as Andy Farrell was doing the thing, put his hand up and said, "How do you think you did today, Mr. Farrell?"
Yeah.
So that's now his thing.
my new thing.
Yeah.
I just want to get a press pass so I can go and ask managers.
But that is a very fair question to McGuinness, because
The quotes annoyed me.
Colin Keys specifically said, should in hindsight 76 possessions, should you not have had more of a plan for Paddy Clifford? And they kind of, look, there'll be a tough post-mortem, and geez, it's even starting now.
Yeah.
Well, it's steady on. That's not that big a post-mortem. Like, that's a very fair question. You're the manager. Paddy Clifford had an outsized impact on the game. That is on you.
And I think in the build-up it was discussed. I think it was in the preview. Someone quoted his passage about the 2014 final. His reaction was almost as if, like, I thought of it every day, as if, like, the thought of us losing that game is so abhorrent that, like, I can't even just admit that we lost to a better team on the day. That it has to be, oh my God, like, how did we lose?
Yeah.
I've been thinking about it every day since. It's like, you played against Kerry and lost. Didn't play great. Like, it doesn't need to be some sort of, like, thing.
That doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense to you, or it doesn't make sense to anyone. Like,
Well, he had a worse day Sunday gone than 14 for sure.
Yeah. I think
But that doesn't mean he's not a great manager, in my opinion. Great manager. You can have a bad day.
Yeah, and he had a very bad day, I would say, because it was a lack of reaction as well. So fair enough. If you go in playing a certain way, I can understand they were going well. You thought something was happening.
Sure.
But yeah, react to it then. And they did eventually get pressure out on Paddy Clifford, but they sacrificed Paddy Clifford having 76 possessions unchallenged because they were worried about two Kerry midfielders going in under the posts. They could have prioritise getting pressure on Paddy Clifford, which is what everybody does when they're playing Kerry. And then even if you look at the kickouts on both directions, but Michael Murphy was just being targeted by Shane Ryan and the Kerry goals. Just whoever's on Michael Murphy, you get free and I'll pick it to you.
And sorry, I don't want to review the All-Ireland final again, but the more I thought about it then, it seemed like they were quite one-dimensional, and it was like, well, we have our processes and our way of playing, and we've done it all year, so can't change now. I think it's kind of interesting, if you take a parallel in soccer, where Liverpool, the best proponents, all through last season, there were times where Liverpool played a high-pressing, in-your-face game, and there were times where Liverpool dropped back into a shape, and they were comfortable doing both. I don't understand across a final why you can't have a period where it's like, okay, in defence, especially these four Kerry lads on the edge of the arc who are running the show, this is now the in-their-face 10-minute section or 5 minutes. Like, you can interchange approaches, keep them guessing, where it was just the same picture almost offered every time defensively. Not a big shift to kind of say, okay, now we're now we're in their faces pressing. Now we drop back into a shape, and it was just a one size kind of approach most of the game. I think that's kind of too predictable.
Yeah, and what almost concerns me a little bit is that he would look at it, and I put it a stat earlier. It's not a bit of fun, but it is true. Donegal kicked the ball over the bar more times than Kerry did on Sunday, which is hard to get your head around. Kerry fisted the ball over the bar 3 times, so they actually put the ball over twice more. Only twice more.
that wasn't a stat. It's a troll.
What, sorry?
That's not a stat. Like, the hand pass counts.
Oh, well, sorry, but Kerry are, football is predominantly supposed to be played with the foot. That's what Pat Spillane told me.
You've lost me as well.
Kicked the ball over the bar more times than Kerry. But sorry, but he might look at that and be like, well, sure, look, we were in the game. They only scored 3 more times than us, if we're being fair. And we lost by 10 points. But, like, that is the game now as well, and he didn't use any of that to his advantage.
I hope he's not clinging on to that one.
Joe Schmidt said after the first test, it was 3 tries each.
Yeah.
Were we really that bad? And it's like, well, what's the game, Joe? Like,
there's a good interview if you're looking for it in the New York Times with Billy Beane, he of Oakland A, Brad Pitt. Reached the playoffs in 4 consecutive years. 0-2, the first team in more than 100 years to win 20 games in a row. So obviously super famous dude. Still advising Oakland Day all these years later. And he was interviewed in Portrush, weirdly of all places, ahead of the Open. He was there. And he was interviewed with his colleague Luke Bourne. They worked together for Teamworks, which is like one of these kind of AI stats, sports, performance companies. Luke Bourne has worked at Roma, has worked in the NBA with Sacramento Kings and with Toulouse FC in Ligue 1. There was just one, I won't go through the whole interview. Funny, the first thing Will said is, do they ask Billy Beane how his daughter is? The guitar, the film.
I'm just a little caught in the middle.
great song.
So they talked about a whole range of things, but what Luke Bourne said, which was kind of interesting, he was talking about soccer, football, and how he thinks culturally they're all like, oh yeah, data, but he doesn't think it's really dictating things yet. He said, we're going to look back in 10 years at soccer now and laugh at it because we're the sport, and he says we're because he's sort of working in it. We're the sport where a lot of teams hire data analytics folks because they don't want to look like Luddites. And they publicly say, yeah, we're data driven, but internally they don't actually use it. They don't want to look like they're old fashioned. So they hire the people and they put out that public image, but then internally they make the decisions traditionally. And he said Brentford and Brighton were the clubs, in his view, that use data for all their decisions, not just now and again when it backs up their own opinion. So that was really interesting. And I would well believe that, actually. I think in part because it's such a hard game to measure statistically. And he said that as well. So he was talking about like how good stats are at measuring soccer. It used to be like this player's good because they've a lot of successes dribbling or a lot of take-ons. So it was very basic counting stats. But now we're getting to a point where we can say things like this player is great because he makes an off-the-ball run, which opens up the space for a passing lane. But he said the sport still lags in assessing technical skill. Like he said, in soccer, we're not quite measuring yet the quality of a first touch or the exact execution of a pass in terms of the projection of the ball. So really, really interesting. And like that stuff that they can't measure in football is just so important. Like you can have a player hit a pass to a player to set up a shot. And depending on just the subtle spin of a ball, it's night and day, the pass. You know, it can be a Teddy Sheringham perfect cushion and sets it up, or it can sort of be bobbled towards someone or top spin on it, the wrong kind of spin on it for the angle. And these kind of imperceptible things, I think, for data, hard to measure. But I do think in football, people back their eye on that stuff still to really assess a player. And I'm not necessarily sure they're wrong in some respects to do that. There is a real eye test for me in football still.
Neville had a great term for that. It was a pass appreciation.
Sure, yeah.
And he said some players don't have it. It's almost like, best of luck with this one, just throwing you any sort of ball. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that still need to be measured. I used to think Grealish was almost undervalued, proved not to be because he went for 100 million, but he was drawing 3 players to him at Aston Villa, and it was opening up space for many other people. So even when he wasn't assisting or scoring, he was the reason that they were getting that space.
Very complicated game to measure, I think, statistically. Always will be.
When you said that about the pass, I was thinking Harry Maguire against Liverpool last year. Was it Xerxes who squared it to him at the last play of the game and he ballooned it over?
Yeah,
because the ball was not played.
Terrible ball.
Yeah,
and statistics.
Is there a stat, like, is there a way of measuring that?
Yeah, it's like instead of a completed pass, it's
It's a very interesting distinction he makes because like baseball is quite binary in a lot of ways. Like, you know, like on base percentage, you know, hitting percentage, walking, like some of the concepts introduced in Moneyball are kind of easily captured in stats, whereas there's some vagaries in soccer that
are hugely important.
Yeah.
Like the pass appreciation. When you pass it to your fullback, does it allow them run on a ball or not?
It's because it's an open skilled game, whereas baseball's closed skills. It's start and an end to everything.
I think so.
Which is why set piece coaches are obviously becoming more prominent, because it's the one thing where it is more of a closed skill, where it's like we start the set piece and it ends at a certain point.
Yeah.
And we can measure it properly.
Yeah. Like golf now is utterly measurable by stats, because it doesn't really matter if you play, you know, a kind of butt ugly fade or you can hit a beautiful tight draw. It's did you hit the green or not? We measured that, and you know, it doesn't really matter how you do it. Whereas in football, how you do so many things is crucial to the next chain of events. So, but yeah, it was interesting. As he said, Brentford and Brighton were the two he thought were genuine in their data approach.
United have said they're data-driven now, aren't they? And they've gone.
Have they?
Well, in Buemo and Cunha, it's good data. It backs up anyway. Yeah.
Are we a data-driven podcast? Would you say?
We try not to be. We do one thing I like on a Friday when we have a meeting after this, where we put up the week's shows and we talk about them. Because you're not in that meeting quite often. We talk about them editorially first. Was that a good show?
Yeah. And
why? Yes or no? What could we have done? And then after we go through the full week, then we look at the data. And so in a way, because you could be led by, oh, well, look, you know, so many people listened to that show. It must have been a good show. And, you know, it may not be the case. So I think you're
like the scout in Moneyball.
Now, that's it. Every time I walk by Will and Shane's computers, the stats are open.
Oh yeah, Joe's the only one who doesn't notice that. The rest of us are looking.
I've no idea how a single show this week did.
Yeah, you're like the old scout in Moneyball. You're like, there are intangibles here that you can't
Yeah.
understand.
Now I like on a Friday knowing, and I must say I keep an eye on the podcast iTunes charts, and we're always kind of pretty good there. But I think it's a combination. It'd be weird to be totally data driven.
Data informed and not data driven.
Yeah.
That's the real buzzword these days.
Oh dear. That's in the New York Times, that interview. We're pretty much done. We don't have 50 minutes. I've got these best live performances, but it's dragging the arse out of it now. We got to go.
No. Where's anybody going? It's bank holiday weekend.
Okay. We'll give this 5 minutes. One of the ways we gave away some tickets for Vicar Street was we asked people to email in the best performance you've seen live, sporting performance you've seen live.
Like that.
You like that? Okay. We had a whole range of things. Like Kieran, a bit of a flex. I was at the World Cup final in 2022, so I suppose Messi and Mbappe's performance.
Okay.
It's like
Wizard.
hard to beat. Hard to beat. Hard to beat. That's good. I liked one from Gary Cretan, and he sent in the videos as well. He was the manager of, he's a secondary school teacher at a girls' school, and they won a final, and there was an overhead kick and a free kick. Free kick was amazing. So he's
an overhead kick and a free kick.
Yeah, he said that's the best performance I've seen. So we liked that was a good one. A classic of the genre. Graham said, I saw Mark Viduka score 4 goals for Leeds against Liverpool in the year 2000. It was my first ever live football game. Haven't seen anything like it since. I think Viduka and that season has become like a shorthand for I'm out of contract. Like people do say, oh, he's gone a bit Mark Viduka this year. It's because they're playing for a contract.
Very underrated player.
Ah, yeah, great player. We had a Christian Eriksen the time they hockeyed Ireland in Copenhagen. Oh, sorry, it was in Dublin.
Oh, we got the draw in Copenhagen.
Sorry, he mentioned the draw in Copenhagen as well. Ireland positive start. Then he talks about Diaviva. Unfortunately, tide turned by Ericsson. Absolutely phenomenal. Scored a hat-trick, completely unplayable. Strutted around Lansdowne Road and took the sting out of a terrible result as he highlighted the gulf in class between the two teams. I've spoken about his performance on numerous occasions since. I was delighted he returned to football after his cardiac complications. Cheers, lads. Thanks for everything. Dara Okaneja, not the Kerry footballer. For a moment when I read that, I was like, whoa!
I was like, oh, famous listener.
In brackets, 5 All-Irelands. No. We had one. A lot of people will remember this. Sorry, I've lost all these sheets. I've lost part 2 of his bloody email.
So many sheets on the ground.
Sorry, I found it. The best sporting performance I've ever seen didn't come in a cup final or a title decider. It came in a quiet August night in 2003 when Man United thumped Hungarian side Zalgiris 4-0 at Old Trafford. I was lucky enough to be 2 rows back in the Stretford end, close enough to hear and feel every crunch, bark and breath of Roy Keane. With the game well and truly wrapped up, United were awarded a penalty in the final minute. Ruud van Nistelrooy, ever reliable, made his way forward, but instead of placing the ball himself, he turned to Diego Forlan. It was a generous gesture, a chance for the struggling Uruguayan to finally notch a goal. The whole stadium was overjoyed except one man, Roy Keane, erstwhile captain and high priest of standards, slowly made his way forward from midfield. Only those of us in the first few rows heard what happened next. Without ceremony, Keane took the ball from Forlan's hands, shoved it into Van Nistelrooy's chest and said, "You're the penalty taker, take the fucking penalty." Then he turned and jogged back to his position. That moment has stuck with me for over 20 years. It wasn't about skill, flair or stats, it was about mentality. In a team of superstars, Keane the standard bearer. And even when the world would have forgiven a soft touch, he wouldn't forgive himself for giving one. Anyway, if there's a night out going with Tony Adams and Gary Beane, I'd love to be in with a shout, ideally for myself and my best man Fergus. We're both knee-deep in nappies these days and could use an evening of adult conversation, pints and analysis. Thanks for the podcast and for the chance to share the story. All the best. Owen Murray. Owen, you're in.
Yeah, Owen is.
Do you think he means his best friend or his best man? Like, is he like, God, this guy, he's my best man?
That's a great, that would be a good way of calling your best
Yeah,
man.
your best mate, your best
No, I
man.
think he means his best man.
Which one?
At his wedding.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's not his best mate anymore?
That was a very memorable. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Erstwhile best man.
Yeah.
Salah Rezajeg. What was it?
Yeah. I remember that very well because Forlan was struggling.
He hadn't scored yet, as
And
far as I remember.
even like to add to the sheer hard-headedness of Keane, like famously he was giving Forlan lifts to training all the time. You know what I mean? He was really helping him settle in, but when it came to taking the penalty, not on my watch.
I think he did score his first goal in that game
Did he?
after that.
Yeah, he's a really good player. It was strange how he struggled.
Yeah.
Brilliant player.
Alexis Sanchez-esque kind of just arriving at United and that.
Well, you'd read a bunch of these.
Yeah.
Were there any ones that you wanted to mention?
Argentina 6, Serbia 0. Someone remember from the 2006 World Cup and that famous goal Cambiasso scored after like 40 passes or something.
Yeah.
That was a good one. That jogged my memory back to that. That was kind of the one that, and someone who played like a 7-a-side game with Sean St. Ledger. That was a good one as well.
Oh yeah,
That's funny.
it's always good if you get involved in that.
And he was good. And he was sound apparently.
Was he? I can't think of a best. I'll have a think. I remember one live when I saw Nicholas Anelka live. I went, oh, I never really, obviously, good, but I'd never rated him the way people talked about him. And then I saw him against Ireland, and I was like, oh, holy shit.
Yeah.
Is that when he scored the goal in the playoff, or what game were you talking about?
It's hard to remember. I've been quite a few France-Ireland matches. I think it was Stade de France. It must have been the Henri on ball night.
Okay.
Did you play that night? Someone will email in if you didn't. But yeah, he was.
You're in safe ground here.
What got me with Anelka that didn't come out on TV is when he picked up the ball somewhere inside opposition half and had a bit of space to run into, against a deep back four. There was a kind of a scary purpose and speed to how he moved that on TV I would never associate that with Anelka. It's just like it just screamed threat, Yeah. So that was the most extreme example of someone that I didn't rate overly highly, and then I saw them live and I was like, oh my god, wow, it's interesting.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Because outside of, obviously, we're probably all thinking Paddy Bradley won 6 against Tyrone, 2003 in the drawing game, and not 10 against Carlisle and Ballybuffet, but I went to Munich and Arturo Vidal. Just never thought of him, not that I didn't rate him.
Of course, yeah.
And it was just like, this is how a top class centre midfielder works. Like, this guy sees things 500 times faster than I could ever hope to.
Yeah. Right, we keep this under an hour. Are you doing a rugby podcast Monday? No rest for the wicked.
And Saturday.
Really?
We started them, so like
We're here now.
But different guests.
not exactly.
Well, listen, I'll tune in both times.
If by different you mean the same, then yes, different.
Jesus. Okay.
Well, it didn't get a mention today, Joe, so it has to get a mention somewhere.
Lions.
Yeah.
It did. Rudd said the copy's always good.
Copy's always good. Well, if he liked Rudd's copy, he might like hearing him twice in 2 days.
Well, indeed.
That's right. It's not over. Lions won already.
They still have to play on
You
in
don't have
Sydney.
to play.
3-0 for an unbeaten series.
I'm putting my hands up to work at a bank holiday Monday. Ergo, I should be allowed to choose the topic.
Of course.
Sorry, you're doing 2 podcasts on this game. That
No. So
matter.
podcast on Saturday is reaction to the performance. The Monday is the wrap-up overview of the tour as a whole.
Yeah.
Oh, here we
okay.
go.
That's
So the
okay.
topics will be different. And Keane Tracy's joining us on Saturday as well. So
That's fine by me.
CT.
That's
no, we're not just doing like 2 separate shows in the same match.
Do you still think that?
Oh, the dust is settled.
And then Tuesday, we have to sort of figure out bits and bobs and Vicar Street Wednesday, which would be great. So I think we'll put out the Tony Adams interview on Thursday. All going well. So that's kind of the vague plan at the moment. Conan, thanks very much.
Thank you.
And Will Slattery, thank
Enjoy your BH weekend.
you. Yes, indeed. All right. It's an initialism.